Welcome again to our YouTube channel, Bold and Faithful Perspective. I never imagined of the type of addictions that are in this world. I knew some addictions in the world: alcohol addiction, food, addiction to prescribed medication, addiction to very many other things, even addiction to sex and etc. But I never imagined of a religious addiction. That I can speak about religious addiction. I never imagined that there will be something called religious addiction. But it is true, there is something called religious addiction. And that religious addiction is a behavioral dependency. Religious addiction is a behavioral dependency on religion. This is where individuals or persons become obsessed. They become obsessed with religious activities as an escape from other things in life, such as stress, distress, a way of making one manage things to do with maybe anxiety, fear, or to fill in what we call emotional emptiness, to fill in some voids, some emptiness. That this behavioral dependency in religion comes to fill in some emptiness, some void, or using religion to solve other things that can be solved by established means and ways of sorting things out, like anxiety, distress, fear, emotional imbalance. That we use religion to fill into those empty spaces, or to use religion to manage things that can be managed different. So it becomes a behavioral dependency. In this case of religious addiction, one finds religious rituals extremely attractive. One finds religious rituals extremely attractive, not for spiritual enrichment, not for edifying one's spiritual being, but extremely attractive for their own sake. These rituals are not helping this individual to grow in faith. They are not helping this individual to strengthen the faith, but they are extremely attractive for their own sake. They are not helping the individual to grow spiritually, but they are just attractive for their own sake. If the person was immoral, he continues being immoral, still being attracted by these rituals. And this person is very faithful to these ritualistic activities that are religious, but does not affect his life of faith. If the man was a thief, will continue stealing. The man was a liar, will continue lying. So there's no change in the person's life for better. There's no improvement in faith and in spirit. But this person is attracted to these religious rituals for their own sake. Some other people who are religiously addicted find religion not due to their love for religion, not that they love religion so much. They are attracted, they find religion attractive, not by the love they have for religion, but because they are guilt driven. Guilt has driven these people into religion, not because they love religion, but guilt has driven them into religion. Some have been attracted and have become addicted to religion because of this compulsive guilt. Compulsive guilt that has driven them into being addicted by religion. It is guilt-driven religious life, guilt-driven religiosity, and they find themselves addicted to religion, not because of love of religion, but because of guilt that has put them in there. Some find themselves suffering what we can call withdrawal symptoms. They suffer some withdrawal symptoms when these religious activities are not available. When they are not involved in these rituals, these religious activities, they suffer from some withdrawal symptoms. This kind of religion that we are talking about, this kind of religiosity we are talking about here, this particular religiosity we are talking about, driven by guilt or to fill in the emptiness of the person, or to use religion to manage other things in one's life. We mentioned some anxiety, distress, fear, and very many other things. This kind of religiosity usually and normally end up damaging relationships and the mental stability of the individual. Addictive religiosity, addictive religion, or religious addiction, they end up damaging relationships and the mental stability of the person. The question that we have to ask ourselves to gauge if we are almost bordering religious addiction or we are suffering from that, the question we have to ask ourselves, or questions that we have to ask ourselves with regard to religion, include: 1, do you feel or have a constant need to perform religious rituals? Religious rituals can be anything. Can be a rosary, can be meditation, can be scripture reading, can be whatever it is, some kind of religious ritual. Do you feel or find a constant need to perform religious rituals? And here I'm using the term perform intentionally. One can perform a prayer but not praying. One can perform rosary but not praying through the rosary. Do you find a constant need to perform religious rituals? Or do you have a purpose for prayer when you do pray? When you pray, do you have a purpose? Do you have an intention? Or are you just having an obsessive prayer? Do you have a purpose for your prayer? Do you have an intention? Why do you pray? Or you just having an obsessive prayer? What is the reason behind your constant church attendance? What is the reason behind your constant church attendance? What's the reason behind? Could this be a characteristic or a symptom of religious compulsive behavior? Could this be? What's the reason behind of your constant church attendance? Do you have a reason behind? Could this be a characteristic or symptom of religious compulsive behavior? Such are some of the questions we have to ask. And I said question number one. In question number one, it has several questions that you ask yourself. And that we call question number one. Do you have a constant need to perform religious rituals? Whatever those rituals are. Do you have a purpose for prayer? Or you are just having an obsessive prayer? What's the reason behind you having constant church attendance? Could that be a characteristic or a symptom of religious compulsive behavior? Question number two. Ask yourself, why are you religious? Why are you so religious? What motivates you or drives you in your religiosity? What motivates you or what drives you in your religiosity? I may ask myself as Danny, Father Danny, what motivates me to celebrate Mass? Even in private. What motivates me to meditate? What motivates me to pray? What motivates me to be religious? What drives my religiosity? Are you driven by fear of punishment? Are you driven by fear of punishment for you to be religious? Are you driven by intense guilt rather than the love and the devotion to God? Are you driven by intense guilt rather than love and the devotion to God? What drives you? Number three. Do you often feel some emptiness or some kind of void whenever you are not engaged in some religiosity or religious activities? Do you often feel some kind of emptiness or some kind of void whenever you are not engaged in some religious activities or religious rituals? Or when you miss these religious activities, how do you feel? And whatever you feel when you miss these religious activities or these religious rituals, ask yourself, why do you think you feel like that? Why do you feel you feel like that? Why do you feel that emptiness? Why do you feel that awful? Is it because of the love you have for God and your religion, or something else? Could it be that you are becoming a religious addict? Could it be? Those are many questions under question number 4. Under question number 3, rather. Then we move to question number 4. Do you have an extreme intolerance of other viewpoints about religion? Do you have extreme intolerance of other viewpoints about religion? And do you cherish some rigidity in religious practice, or have a flexible worldview in terms of dogma? Or do you have a flexible dogmatic worldview? Where do you lie? Why do you hold such positive, or why do you hold the position that you hold about dogma, about church teaching? Why do you hold the teaching that you hold? Is it because of the love of God? Or you are hiding something? Or you are using your stand to cover on something that you don't want to deal with? Do you hold the position you hold about religion because of understanding and love? Or rather, ask it another way. Are you practicing or are you using faith and reason to hold the position that you hold in terms of religion? Are your faith and reason working together? Or one has been suspended and the other is taking an upper hand? Faith and reason have to go together. If one of them suffers, then there is a danger of having an addiction of either side. Number 5, and that's on the final question before we conclude. Are you scrupulous? Do you have some scrupulosity? This is a form of or a kind of OCD. Scrupulosity, a kind or form of OCD where religious and moral beliefs become unhealthy and obsessive in focus. Scrupulosity is a kind or form of OCD where religious and moral beliefs become unhealthy and obsessive in focus. Why did I choose to speak about religious addiction? It's because we want people to be religious because of the love of God. To balance both being human and being religious, being faithful and being a person. That religion must not become an emotional escape route. That religion should not be an emotional escape from reality of life. Religion must not become a coping mechanism for any underlying problems of life. Religion must never be a coping mechanism for any underlying problems of life. Problems of life must be solved, and therefore religion must not become a coping mechanism for such. We have to be reminded always that repetitive rituals can trigger a release of dopamine and serotonin. Hence, reinforcement of this compulsive behavior. That the repetitive rituals can trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin, hence reinforcing this compulsive behavior. That the moment we miss such kind of rituals, we suffer from withdrawal symptoms. It's like any other addiction. That's why we must have a balance between religion and normal life. Religion must not stop you from being a wife. Religion must not stop you from being a husband. Religion must not stop you from being a son or a daughter. Religion must not stop you from being a grandfather or a grandmother. Religion must not take away your human existence. Religion would rather enhance such that religion must not become the source of disorder in your normal human life. Therefore, we have to constantly ask ourselves, what keeps me in my religion? And how much this religion has helped me to become human and still faithful. A faithful religious person must break away from some rigid backgrounds and the desire to control other life circumstances. A faithful religious person must break away from rigid backgrounds and desire to control over other life circumstances. That religion must help us to see reality as it is, to embrace reality as it is, but still remain faithful. Not that we want to control, but to understand, but still remain faithful. Religion must not bring sorrow and pain, but religion should bring joy and daily happiness. Therefore, if you find yourself having some sense of kind of compulsive religious behavior, seek some help. I have seen some families that are broken up because of religion. Good families have been dismantled just by religion. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, we have to develop a healthy and positive, empowering life choices. We must develop a healthy, positive, and empowering life choices kind of behavior. Being open to embrace faith due to love, not fear, guilt, rigidity, but by understanding. We have to find spiritual companions, spiritual directors, for guidance on our journey of faith and religiosity. We must avoid any religious hypnotization. Religious hypnotization can lead to religious addiction. We have to pray to God that He may give us strength, instead of religious addiction, to give us religious devotion and love. Religious devotion and love. And above all, deep understanding faith. Above all, deep understanding faith. May God bless you and embrace you. If there are any questions or comments, you can make them and I'll look at them and I'll respond accordingly. God bless you.